All right, my name is Adam. I just got hired as the government solutions guy, kind of like the point-to-point contact with guys like Logan, Nate, Hunter, John, a lot of the human performance guys that work directly with the military, Ollie, a lot of those guys I love and respect. This is more of a story. It's not going to be nearly as well spoken as Derek's, but hopefully it's all right. Is my mic still working? Good? All right, sweet. This is a photo of my first day at SummerStrong, or at SummerStrong12. The four of us got together. Everybody saw my photo, and I had a pretty sweet stash. And I walked downstairs and showed everybody the photo. Darren had it. And literally, everybody in this photo, except for Jason, we kind of pulled him in, was like, I got to redo my face. I got to redo my headshot. Mine sucks. And I was like, oh, dude, let's just do one together. It'll be the bros. Like, oh, why don't we recreate Death Row Records? So we did that. My talk today is always talk to the pretty girl. This is an idea given to me by my father-in-law of how I went from thrower to here. And I think maybe 9 years. Coach, I haven't met you yet, by the way. I'm Adam. Nice to meet you. It's all about doing that. I've never actually met Dr. Ivy before, face to face. It's about just taking the chance and walking up to him and introducing yourself. It's kind of a wild story, but let's get into it. But first, I'd like to thank Bert, Pops, Kevin, the whole SummerStrong12 family. I'll probably get a little emotional, hopefully not, but moving from Germany after 5 years was a big deal. Big deal, was hard, a lot of logistics. Logan, I'm going to bring him up here a little bit later. It's just difficult being there for 5.5 years. It's kind of like your family. To come back to a family was a lot. It was awesome. It was welcoming. They've taken care of Courtney and I, and I'll always thank you guys for that, so thank you. It's my family, minus my brother. I was really little. In Germany, kind of weird, right? My heart and soul was to always get back there. My dad was in the military, retired as lieutenant colonel. My mom was a dental hygienist, gave up her job to support our family. This is outside of Lampertheim, Germany. So it taught me a lot about foundation, love, sacrifice, and just taking care of each other. My dad was gone on the field all the time. My mom finally came over, crazy story. My mom finally came over, had been in Germany they're in the back. I think they lived there for like 4 or 5 years. In Germany, right? You go to Oktoberfest. My dad always went to Oktoberfest. My mom had my brother and I. She never went. So 2014, I move over. 2015, first trip. Mom comes out. And by the way, in Germany, there's an Oktoberfest in the spring. It's called Frühlingsfest. She came out. That was her first time at Oktoberfest with my wife and I. It was freaking awesome. And she's telling us, like, hey, we lived in Germany for like 4 years, but I never went to Oktoberfest because I'm always carting around 2 boys. So we left when my brother was born. I always wanted to get back. Real quick, raise of hands. Who here is type 1 diabetic? Yeah, let's have a talk. Let's just do it. All right, right over here, too. Brett Sanders is, too. This is a crazy story. It's my little brother, Dave. He always wanted to be a Navy SEAL. Another nuts story. My dad is an active duty military guy. Mom lived outside of Hampton, drove onto Little Creek Naval Weapons Station, or Naval Base. I think my brother was 7 or 8. And my dad pulled up, speaking of talking to the pretty girl, pulled up to the gate, got through, walked right up to SEAL Team 2. And my dad looked behind my brother and was like, you want to be a Navy SEAL? Walk in that door. 8-year-old Dave walks to the freaking door. I'm like, what balls for an 8-year-old kid to walk in, and the SEALs that he met, he remembers it because I went back. The picture's on my phone. I should have put it up here. He walked in, and those guys like brought him in, like gave him a shirt, gave him a hat, and I went to Little Creek just 2 weeks ago. I was like, Dave, what SEAL team was it that you went and visited? He's like, oh, it's SEAL Team 2. He's like, if my mind serves me correctly, my memory's terrible. I can't remember anything from when I was 8. He's like, I'm pretty sure there's a massive anchor in front that they got somewhere from the Caribbean. If my mind serves me correctly. I'm like, Dave, you were freaking 8. Sure as shit. Walk up, there's that anchor. I'm like, took a photo in front of it. He's like, that's nuts. I was like, next time I'm going to bring you on. Here's the craziness. So I was 12, and my little brother lost a ton of weight. Parents usually pick me up from football practice all the time, and it was one day they didn't. And everybody's got like the uncle that's not really the uncle, but he's just a really close friend of the family. So Uncle Bill comes over and he picks me up, and I'm like, hey, Uncle Bill, what's the deal? And he's like, hey, we think your brother has diabetes. And I'm like, what? I don't even know what that is. So he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and I'm the big bro. I can get through this one. I'm the big bro, and I'm seeing my little bro, like, inject himself with syringes, crying. My parents are wondering, like, what the hell's going on? Like, doesn't run the family. Grandparents don't have it. Mom and dad don't have it. There's nowhere near, like, nobody knows. He gets it at 8, and I'm like the big bro, like, dude, what is going on? Why is my little brother going through this? And I'm the big bro, like the protector, wondering why. So I said this at his wedding speech and had a lot of people in tears. I'm going to get through this. I literally prayed to have type 1 diabetes because I didn't want my little brother to go through life having something I didn't have. Like, if I'm his protector, I need to understand firsthand how that is. So that was my first relationship. That was my first networking. That's who was like, we were in it together. So I was diagnosed actually like 3 months later. Family and I, we all went in for tests. Mom and dad didn't have a marker. I had a marker, and on my 13th birthday in Charleston, South Carolina, I had Applebee's for dinner the day before, and I pounded, like, just because I could, probably didn't do me any favors, a 2-liter of Mountain Dew, like shortly, like 2 days before that, I was asleep over at a buddy's house. I'm like, I'm going to go in, so if I'm going to go in, I may as well just send it today, and then Monday, if I find out I have it, then I have it. So, because insulin, as my wife would say, insulin is very expensive. So, I took all that and grew up in New Jersey. We moved around a ton. I played football a little bit in Georgia. Family just lives down the road in Augusta. Yeah, Augusta. Went to Evans Middle School and then moved to New Jersey. Jersey was kind of cool, I guess. I say that now after living in Arizona, and I think Tucson's the best place on earth. So, yeah, Tucson. So I threw reasonably well. I'm not going to get in statistics, but I was decent. Adam Nelson upstairs, I met him in college. I went from New Jersey to Arizona. First time I took a recruiting trip out to Arizona. Loved it, fell in love with the openness. Man, not big sky country, but the desert was mine. I wanted to be there. My parents supported me, sacrificed a full ride scholarship to Wisconsin, Kansas. North Carolina, I wasn't very smart to get in there, but they would have got me in. So I went to Arizona, sacrificed a full ride because I had a bunch of training partners there, potential training partners that I wanted to work out with. I knew that was my dream. I wanted to succeed. The coaching staff there, everybody there was amazing, and I went and took this team-based dynamic from football, and then there we had 4 guys. I'll drop some numbers. We had 4 guys. We could all bench press over 400. We could all 4 bench press or clean over 360. All 4 of us could squat over 600. All 4 of us could snatch over 130 kilos. Like, we had a crew, and it was awesome, and that's what gave us that team-based dynamic. And took that passion, was reasonably good at discus through 213 feet. I think in, 2007 or 2008 was the top 15 in the world, which is pretty cool. 2008, this platform's probably, 2.5 feet wide. That's how close I was to making the Olympic team. I was the 2008 Olympic alternate, and that hurt. So every day I kind of look out like, man, that's not that far. That's my hand going from this to this. Like a minute change would have put me on the Olympic team. Everything I ever wanted. Didn't think about it then. Like, that was, in my brain, there was a reason that I missed that team, because I wouldn't be here. I'd still be pursuing the dream, and I'd be doing some Olympic thing, maybe still throwing and making a massive, $12,000 a year. Reality. This is a gut punch, but a good one. So 2009, To set the stage, and I'll step in front. World Championships were in Berlin. I always wanted to go back to Germany, always. In Berlin, I was a resident athlete at the Olympic Training Center in Chula Vista. My worst throw that year would have placed me in the top 3 at USA National Championships. Why did I not do it? Not going to say it's an excuse. I didn't do it because I was focused way ahead. Didn't think about it. Threw my season's worst at the event and placed 8th. 3 weeks prior, economic regression, type 1 diabetic, resident athlete, I got health insurance. They say, hey, dude, like big USOC thing. If you fail, you can make the world team. You could be top 3, but the top 2 are the only ones that get health insurance in that event. So if I'm not top 2, my entire career at this point is closed. I was planning like 2008 to 2012. I'm training up for London. I'm gonna make Berlin. I'm gonna make Daegu, and I'm gonna make London. That's my plan. I got 3 or 4 training partners there, super elite, had made Olympics before. They're like, Adam, you're ready, do it. I didn't do it. Got 9th. So, and I'm a resident, everything is there. I'm like, man, this is awesome. Who here has been there? Hayward Field, Eugene, a lot of people. Cool, all right. A lot of big meets there, right? Bert told me to kind of download this, so the hammer field's on the other side, but the true story is I call my dad. And I'm like, that discus ring right there, I called my dad like 30 minutes after the meet. They didn't go because they were saving up to go to Berlin. They're like, hey, we're saving up our money. We know you can do it. Not going to make you nervous. You're going to get to Berlin. You're going to do great. I didn't do great, so I called my dad, and my dad goes, hey, I fully support your journey, but you want to get married, you gotta somehow change that passion to how are you going to provide your family? Start to think about that. He's like, I'm not telling you to decide something right now. That was 30 minutes after I threw. Not telling you to do it right now, but at some point, you've got to take care of your family. So, I packed up my crap, and I moved to Tucson, and I begged to get a job at frickin' Home Depot. Full time. That was the only job I could get. I was like, there were people with master's degrees and doctorate degrees not getting jobs. It was crazy. Everybody remembers it. It was crazy. So I had to call up a buddy. And I'm like, I just need a job, man. Just need a job. I don't care if it pays $8 an hour, $9, whatever. I just need a job that has health insurance. So I got a job. And this job I was a merchandising execution employee. This was 2010. So this is 9 years ago. I don't know why I looked at my watch. Watches don't have years. So I'd wake up at 3 or 3:30. And I'd drive to Sierra Vista from Tucson. It's a 100-mile drive, 80-mile drive every Tuesday. And then I would drive to Safford, Arizona, which is about 2.5 hours away every Thursday. I had to be at work at 6, and I wouldn't get off until 2:30, 30-minute lunch. I'd come back. I still threw during this. Still threw. So I'd drive every Tuesday and Thursday, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday was all local stores in Tucson. Those shelves, that was my job. So when you go into Home Depot, there's where my buddy Jeremy's out on the side. There's like a little piece of paper, and you can pull those out and take a look. That's what Adam used to do. He'd pull those papers out, take a look at the bay, front face everything. I worked in lumber and building materials, so I literally flat stacked lumber most of the day. And then I'd drive back. I'd go to U of A. I'd throw, and then I'd go to McHale Center. And Coach Ed was there, Corey Edmonds, and he was. He came up to me, he's like, dude, why are you, hey, strength coaches in college get pissed. I'd get pissed. Somebody's showing up in the weight room at 5 o'clock. I've been there since, looking back, I'm like, I've been there since 4:30. What the hell you been doing all day that you're not coming until 5 to try to get a lift in? And I told him, and he's like drop. He's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, Coach Ed. He's like, what do you want to do? This is early. This is probably November of 2009. He's like, I think you should be a strength coach. I've seen you work with some of the athletes, other teams. I've seen you kind of help each other out. He's like, let's do it. Why don't you be a strength coach? He's like, I'll do all I can to help you out. So we developed if I saw him now, I'd give him a big old bear hug and probably cry in his arms. Because when I went to Germany, I kind of lost touch with that, and you're on the whole another side of the planet. But he was huge. And that's coming up, this is my road to work every morning. And this is actually from 2009, the morning that I was checking the NCAA Career Center website, and there was an opening. Coach, I haven't met you yet, but I'd love to chat later. And it was at Oklahoma. And I walked in, I was like, we were going to Sierra Vista that day to work, saw GA position, University of Oklahoma. I was like, oh, dude, this is my chance. I've been grinding it for over a year. Who here, like the grind as a strength coach is you're doing something that you love. Can you grind and do something that you don't love? That was a gut check for me. By the way, freaking February, one of the coolest things in my life, still have it. I tried to find it, but all of our crap is still in storage. I was Employee of the Month in February. I was like, if I'm going to be doing this, I may as well freaking do it. So Employee of the Month. Fast forward to this day, I print out the job listing, and I'm like, walk into U of A. I was super pumped. And I didn't even throw that day. I skipped throwing, walked right in because I wanted to catch Coach Ed before he left. And I walked up to Coach Ed, and I hand it to him. Hand it to you, bam. He sees it, and he's like, B.O., get this. Takes the paper, calls Jerry Schmidt right there on the spot, and goes, hey, man, I got a guy you got to talk to. Right, boom, right there. You good? All right, we're good. Hangs up the phone and looks at me, and he goes, we'll talk later, but you're good. And I was like, what? What do you mean you're good? He opened the door. He opened a door. And for somebody that he knew I was a good athlete, we shared info all together. Like Dan Paff was my coach at the training center. He loved Dan Paff. He just knew I needed a chance. All I needed was a chance. And he gave me that chance. And then he started to, like that relationship, that dynamic was, I had provided him just experience, like really nothing. It was a one-sided relationship. He went on a limb and was like, I believe in you with all of my heart that you will, you're going to crush whatever it is that awaits you at OU. So I worked with Tim Overman at OU. Tim's an interesting guy. But this is my power of who? Corey started it. Worked at OU for 2 years. Was an amazing experience. And then there was an opening. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Had an interview with Exos, or API at the time. They had some tactical strength and conditioning programs or jobs opening up. I was like, I would love to do that. Like, I didn't even say, like, my grandpa served. He was in D-Day, Omaha Beach, Battle of the Bulge. My other grandpa was a sailor in Japan. I always wanted to get back to the military, but my brother and I were automatically DQ'd because of the type 1 diabetes. So once I figured out the tactical portion of it, I was like, whatever I can do to get there, I will do. So I had an interview my last semester at OU, graduated, looking for a job. And Coach Bedard, who's the throws coach at CSU, and they had an opening. And I interviewed, and he saw me that I was interviewing for the job, and he was like, walked to JP, and he was like, JP, this is your guy. This is your guy. And killed my interview, was awesome. Took a flight out to CSU, and Courtney and I moved to Colorado State. This is a crazy story. So 1 week in, I'm sitting at my desk. I don't want to sit because I'll hit my mic, so I'm like sitting at my desk, and in comes walking 2 guys in uniform and 2 guys in suits. And I'm like, I walk through this little tiny weight room at CSU, and I walk up, go to my coach's office. I'm like, hey, coach, like, who are those guys? And he goes, oh, that's, where's Jason Mitchler at? Right there. He was one of them. And he walks in, and JP tells me, oh, that's Paul Goldberg. He trains Green Berets in Fort Carson. Who? I'm like, this is it. This is my chance. So I go back to my desk. This is my first week. I remember I'm still like logging into my email and figuring things out, plugging in computers and mouses. And I sit there and I'm like, all right, I'm new here. This is 1 weekend. I just asked my boss who this guy was, but I want to do that. I want to train Green Berets. So walked out of my office and I walked up and I said, Mr. Goldberg, my name's Adam Kuehl. How are you doing? I'd really like to do what you do. I want to learn from you. How do I do that? And Paul was caught off guard. Paul was like, what? And there's like a lieutenant colonel with him and 2 lieutenant colonels with him, kind of high up. And they were like, who is this guy? I have no idea who he is. Walked up, just introduced myself. wanted to learn. I came in like totally approachable because I wanted to do what he did. This was my chance. Paul's like, I don't have a card. I was like, hey, take my info. Like a month later, Paul goes, hey, there's a bunch of openings coming up. Like, why don't you come down to Fort Carson? So I planned a trip down to Fort Carson. First, Paul hates his photo taken, so he's going to kill me for this slide. That's him flicking me off because he hates his photo taken. And this is actually a station in Germany that the base I ended up going to is named Goldberg. Crazy coincidences. So that's Paulie G. He was a coach at Colorado Avalanche, coached at U.S. Navy unit that shall go unnamed, and then he took the job at 10th Special Forces Group, and he ultimately gave me the opportunity after I met one individual. So I go down and I'm talking with, driving down to Fort Carson. Paul says, hey, I can't make this meeting. You got to meet my assistant, Logan. And I'm like, oh, great. I don't know who this clown's going to be. Like, I'm going to have to now sell myself to somebody else. I already got my foot in the door. Like, it's already there. Give me the chance. So I meet Logan. Now he sits right here. Logan, this guy, we had to put a beer chugging photo on there. This guy, talk about selflessness. Creating your network, like it's not always about using a network as leverage. Okay, use the network like Corey gave me the chance. I wasn't providing, I was working hard, but he provided me the opportunity. Logan provided me this opportunity. We kind of joked, like we went on 2 dates and then got married. It was barbecue the first date, barbecue the second date, a lot of beers at both, and after that he said, hey man, Germany's quite, like that's an adventure. The adventure was that I got hired by Booz Allen Hamilton, and if anybody knows that company, they're squared away. But unfortunately, they had hired somebody from Microsoft, and his name was Edward Snowden, and he released a ton of information implicating us spying on Angela Merkel, who is the Chancellor of Germany. So in Germany, for a US-based contractor, the Germans have to approve it, and the Americans have to approve it. Well, the Americans are like, hey, dude, you're good. The Germans just didn't meet. They'd meet monthly. They just didn't meet. Logan had said, hey, you and your wife can stay with my wife and I. They had just been married 3 months. Just move in. Move in. We were floating around, sleeping on people's couches. Our crap was in storage up in Fort Collins. We stayed with Logan for 11 months in a 2-bedroom, I'm going to call it 1.5 bath apartment. And that dude was like, hey man, it's cool. Just stay with me. We got you. Your family. Bring it in. So I can finally take I won't mess around with it. But Logan, I got you a shirt. You can't put it on until we're done. That dude will literally give you the shirt off his back, and I got a shirt underneath, but I don't want to screw up my mic. So I'm going to give it's the same shirt I have on, and it's pretty awesome. Thank you, man. Like, you were a huge part, and you teach people how to be selfless. You don't know that, and you're kind of quiet, but like this is a brotherhood here. Like shit like this, like you can develop relationships and get family, and it's not always about leveraging somebody else. Next up, my boy, Kevin. Met him in 2014, and we always joked about world domination. We always wanted just, first time we met, hey man, you're cool, I'm cool too, let's dominate. Kevin's like, I don't know how this is gonna happen. Like, we're gonna have to, I don't know, somehow hire you? I'm like, well, I still got a couple years left, and I laughed at Bert, or talked to Bert last night. I'm like, Bert, I've got 400 of these goofy ass photos of me and Kevin. This weekend, you and I need to make up for lost time. I'm pulling you aside, and we're gonna take some goofy ass photos. I had to put a photo of Kevin sleeping in there because the dude works his tail off, and I had to implicate him for the time that he's gonna rest, if at all. 3 of these photos are in one trip. God. I think I have my notes here. I'm doing pretty good so far. He asked me, hey man, can you meet me in Zurich? I was like, yeah, I can meet you in Zurich. I'm up in Stuttgart. It's like a 90-minute train. So we train down to Zurich, and I get off in the Zurich train station. Anybody been to the Zurich train station? Yeah, You don't count. You were there. It's huge. All those train stations in Europe are huge. Well, it's huge, and it's like middle of July, and it looks like frickin' Halloween, because it's the Zurich Techno EDM Street Festival, where 1.5 million people show up to Zurich, and they just rage for a whole day. There's people on yachts, like, jumping up, like, it was absolutely bonkers. And I'm like, Kevin, did you know about this? He's like, actually, no. Because I totally thought he did, and he was like, hey, wait till I had no idea. We showed up, and it was like complete surprise. I'm like, this is a gong show. But anyways, all of this, like, that's my life story. Am I good? Oh, I rubbed it. Am I good now? Yeah, sweet. How to take advantage. All right? We learned selflessness. We learned taking the chance. Like, you guys have a very unique opportunity, all the first-timers here. No, like what Bert said, nobody has egos here. The people who are so doctors, strength coaches from the University of Oklahoma, like, some ballers are here. And none of them are going to have egos. They're going to shake your hand just like you were a bro working at Home Depot just looking for a chance. Always talk to the pretty girl. I told my wife I had to throw on the slide. That's another crazy story too, but I'm kind of running out of time. Always talk to the pretty girl. Who here knows somebody that they can see that they're like, I want to talk to them? Pretty. Everybody's like, hey, I want to talk to them. Oh, where's Bert? Malcolm, come here. This is going to be rule number 3. Bert, come here. As a catalyst, I'm skipping rules. Malcolm, meet Bert. Bert and Malcolm. Malcolm's a strength coach over at Colorado. This is Bert Soren. He's a baller.
Nice to meet you. First time? Yeah,
first timer. If you're too nervous or whatever, or you don't know, be a catalyst. I'm already skipping rules. Rule 2, follow through and be present. You meet somebody new like that, if you don't follow through with Bert, that's your fault. But if you do, and there's different ways to follow through, like now it's email, it's text. My buddy John, like after SummerStrong, was like, hey, I need addresses. I want to make people I want to make some of that crew something. Like, you know, if you have a skill, like that goes a long way. Making them a block of wood that says their name, like little gifts like that, just make people know, like, hey, dude, that's a good guy. He spent time, sacrificed a little bit, and tried to build that relationship with me. So my buddy Jeff Bradford retired from the military, worked at a really cool unit in the Army, and that's Zane Lamprey. If anybody's seen the show 3 Sheets or Drinking Made Easy or any of those, like a couple nods. So that's a whole other story, dude. In Switzerland. That's me and Jeff. Jeff retired and he wanted to do a career in beer, wine, and spirits. Follow him on Instagram. That's my only pitch. We supported him. He moved all of his shit in our house. Didn't benefit us at all. I was like, dude, I got you. Logan did it for me. I'm going to pay it forward. Bring all of your stuff that you want to take. I know you're in Belgium. Bring all your stuff here. I will move it back to the United States for you and pay for it in storage. No, zero questions asked. You pursue your dreams because you earned it. You're a retired U.S. Army veteran, 20 years, doing awesome shit. I got you. Now he's going on doing great things. That's us on top of a stage at the Hofbrauhaus tent with the biggest AC/DC cover band performing. Some people call them like because Adam stories, and we can talk about those after this. If those of you don't know Robo is Ray Jackson from Bloodsport. This is a big one. When you develop those friends like that, I told this when I left the guys at 110. I kind of didn't want to talk about a lot of that because that time was really personable and awesome, but Robo was one of the guys I had the privilege of working with. Shouldn't go unnoticed. I know some people are like, oh, this is a corny ass movie. Bloodsport is literally like my favorite. I can probably take this off. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. That feels better. Let your friends know anytime, any place, anywhere. If you need me, I'm there. If I don't have the frickin' money, that's what credit cards are for. Pay it off later. And I have a few select guys, and it's kind of emotional. We're like broing out and probably drinking beers or eating meats. And I tell them like, hey man, anytime, any place, anywhere, if you need me, I'm there. It's the same exact quote from that. you'd probably laugh, but I tear up every time I see the end of Bloodsport. That's the kind of guy I am. I love that frickin' movie. Thanks, Dad. So, this is your mission at SummerStrong12. Develop new relationships, be a matchmaker for those who need it, or those of you who share common themes. Hey man, like he works in this group, he works at that group, he works for this team, that team, whatever it is. Be a matchmaker. Oh, you like woodworking? Well, my buddy Logan loves woodworking. Go talk with him. Maybe you guys can share a cool experience. And always follow up. Don't just make the introduction and then don't do anything with it. Follow up. Even if it's, I've got guys now like Coach Ed, I'll just text them randomly, hey, I know we lost touch, just wanted to see how things are going. Even little one words like that. Hey man, like go through your phone, and if you like ignored somebody's text message in that, shoot them back. Hey man, sorry I missed this. We're all humans, man. Sometimes things get too busy, but always reach back out because that lets people know that they care. Number 4 would be buy a cool shirt, but you can't buy this off me, so. Story behind that one. But I'll let you talk to me in person about it. Make friends and see what happens next. Thank you, Bert. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Joel.
That's awesome.
Story? All right, am I back on? All right. Here's the story of the picture. So this is in Stuttgart, Germany. Can everybody hear me? Good? All right. In Stuttgart, I was at a beer fest in Munich, and a craft beer fest, and craft beer is not a big thing there. So I got to step in front because this is solid Instagram material. I met a bunch of people at this craft beer fest that lived in Stuttgart, and Stuttgart was trying to get a craft beer store going. And one of my friends, through a friend, was like, oh man, Adam's got a cool mustache. Like, you could be our mascot. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? What does your mascot look like? And it looks kind of like Bosco. And they're like, well, we'll buy you the leotard and you can use your weight belt and everything. And they have this opening. This is 2015 or 2016. And they have an opening. Robo was there. And the Stuttgarter Zeitung, the Stuttgarter paper shows up, like 1,000 Germans show up, and it's like this big hit. Well, now next thing I know, like people come to me like, you were on the front page of the Stuttgarter Zeitung as like this craft poly man. Well, then it got to become, that was like my first year there. I had only been in Germany for like 4 months. So it continued, and then they made a craft beer fest. And they're like, can you be craft poly for the craft beer festival? And I was like, what, like, I don't speak really good Deutsch, but let's send it. So I show up, and my buddy Torsten's like, hey, we want you to judge Germans on the Stein, it's called Bierkrug Stemmen, the Stein holding contest, which, by the way, I won in Las Vegas, right hand at 8 o'clock, left hand at 10 o'clock when I was working at Colorado State, same night. 4.5 minutes is my best, and it's like, I know there's people in here who probably hold it for 10. So here I am at the Stuttgart Craft Beer Fest. There was like, our battalion commander was there, and he brought other officers in because there's a bunch of other command units. And I see all these guys usually in uniform, and they see me looking like this clown. And they're like, they didn't know. They're like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, well, long story, sir, I'll tell you later. So this hairy-chested, well-groomed man was showing Germans how to hold a Stein. And I judged the Stein holding contest. Cool. This happens, man.